I need the breaths just as much as you. So welcome to Four Feminine Paths to add $100,000 or more to your business income as a light worker. And I just want to take a moment before I even introduce myself to acknowledge all of you for being here. I just deep gratitude. I also want to acknowledge you for being the kind of women leaders and light workers who are choosing to dedicate your lives to making the world a better place. May the earth bloom with every step that you take. And I also can imagine that just by being here means that you're committed to showing up for your highest expression of your business, for your clients, that just by being here together, we get to create new supportive narratives around being seen and around making money as women healers. Just by being here, we are also benefiting other women. We're benefiting the planet. As you know, this masterclass is also a fundraiser for the Nature Conservancy. So I'm donating 100% of the proceeds of what you brought in for this masterclass to the Nature Conservancy. And I just want to appreciate you all for being so generous. Many of you gave very generously. And at the same time, every amount counts. Your dollar counts. And you're voting with your money. Just by being here today, you are giving back. We raised over $500 so far for the Nature Conservancy. Last month, we were able to raise about $1,000 for another women's charity. So I'll just put in the chat, I'll put the link directly to the Nature Conservancy in the link so that you can take that with you, check out the amazing work that they're doing all over the planet. And if, oh, oops, I had a previous copy and paste, hold on. Well, that's Solara's contact information. Hopefully this is a powerful networking opportunity for her. Let me just find my notes and what I meant to copy. Here we go. Let's copy. Here's the link to the Nature Conservancy. That looks better. There we go. So if you'd like to give directly to them at any time and find out more about them, that is them. So thank you so much for being part of this fundraiser. So I am Jessica Hadari. Most of you know me. I support spiritually oriented women business owners to build prosperous, heart-centered businesses in restful, feminine ways. And I like to say that I'm the most blessed woman in the world because I get to surround myself with awesome women healers every day who are doing amazing work in the world. I've been a business coach for 15 years, and I've helped many women healers build six-figure and even multiple six-figure income with their businesses. And during the pandemic, many of my clients celebrated earning $5,000 income months, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 income in 1 month, at least once during the pandemic. So I just want to name that I am passionate about women linking arms and moving forward together, because what we can create together is so much greater than what we can create alone. And I'm also passionate about women really owning their value, women healers owning their value, especially right now, deeply owning that your business is medicine for the world. I've also just will name that I've been creating events and community for spiritual women leaders and healers for nearly 20 years. I'm the creator of the Women of Color Wisdom series, which will relaunch this summer. I am a woman of color, of South Asian and Middle Eastern lineage. And I wanted to just circle back to what I was saying about owning that your business is medicine for the world. And I think this ties into my passion about money being in the hands of women healers. Because when money is in the hands of women healers, when women healers have money, they give back, right? When women healers have money, they give to charity like we have here. They fund aligned political candidates. When money is in the hands and in your hands, you get to support local and grassroots organizations that in turn support the planet, that in turn support Indigenous peoples. When money is in the hands of women healers, they invest in their community. They give back and invest in children and other women. So let's just take a breath for that, just a sense of prosperity and spaciousness and elevation around money, and women healers being paid well, being paid what we're worth, and just taking a deep breath into that sentiment. So here's what we're going to cover today. I will be covering all 4 of what I call the feminine paths to potentially add 100,000 to your income each year with spaciousness, with ease. And each one of these paths is in and of itself, a key to sizably increase your business income. So we're going to cover all 4 paths. Each path is a key to potentially adding to 20,000, 50,000, $100,000 to your annual income. I'm going to give you lots of examples so you can really explore how to weave these 4 paths into your unique business. And I'm also going to lay out some of the business skills and structures that you must have in place in order for these 4 paths to be prosperous and restful. I will be talking about the #1 way that wealthy women lightworkers and luminaries reach new audiences and attract clients that you can also immediately start doing to touch more hearts and grow your following. And you'll also learn the top 2 client attracting blueprints that have helped my clients earn $10,000 in a month, $50,000 in a month, that will also create rest and spaciousness in your business so that you can let go of old salesy militant models. During our time together today, I'm not going to sell. This is not about selling. I'm here to teach and to pass on this wisdom. I will tell you later on briefly about my business mastery circles for those of you that want to take a step deeper with me. But then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So as we're going, make notes in your journal with any questions that arise, and we'll have time at the end for me to answer those questions. So I'm going to give you lots of examples today of women who've had success with each of these 4 restful paths, because seeing the actual examples and hearing the behind the scenes of how each woman did it, I think is one of the most powerful ways to learn. So you're in the right place. If maybe you're newer to business, you might have a lot of ideas, content, expertise. You know you could be monetizing, but it's possible you get overwhelmed or you're not sure what the next steps are. Maybe you're here because you don't have an audience and you know that building one will help grow your business faster. This webinar is also great if you already have an established business, but maybe you're just kind of on the hamster wheel and you might be asking yourself, how do I scale, right? How do I break through my own earnings ceiling without going into burnout? How do I live a life that I really want to live, to work maybe remotely and travel more once that becomes more possible? You might know, if you're more established, you might know that you need to establish your brand and start to grow community around your message, to grow nationally or even internationally. So you are in the right place. If you're a little more beginner or you are a little more advanced, I'm going to give you lots of examples and lots of good tools for both. So let's go ahead and dive in. I want to invite you to stand. You have a couple choices. You can either luxuriate like a goddess and just make your body completely comfortable lying on a couch or bed or floor or whatever, or you can stand and take a power pose. So whatever's going to bring you most present. I'm already standing. I'm at a standing desk. So I want to invite you to take a moment to just whatever brings you most present and most in your body, because we're just going to do a very brief visualization before we start diving into the content. So here we go. I'm going to take I'm taking like a little goddess stance. I've kind of got my knees bent, but you could, whatever you want to do that just feels delicious. You can stretch. And I want to invite you to take a moment to close your eyes if that's helpful for you. And I want you to drop in during this very, very brief meditation to connect to what is possible for you. I want you to imagine a beautiful future where you have created a fully financially thriving business, that you've created a business that you feel fully cared for by. You feel cared for by your business because the money, effort, time exchange is balanced. And just take a breath into that financially thriving business that's also balanced. I want you to imagine a future where your business is prosperous enough to give back in times of crisis, a business where you regularly turn your ideas into money-making opportunities. Imagine a future where you are the go-to trusted expert and community leader, that you experience ease in filling your workshops and programs. You enjoy a relaxed schedule that allows for downtime and family time and creativity and rest and travel, and just taking a breath into the spaciousness of that, just deepest breath in and out, right down into the bowl of your pelvis. Just feel that beautiful future vision in your body. And when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes, coming out gently. You can stay standing or you can take a moment to have a seat. And I'd like for you to just share in the chat box how that feels. Anything that you want to name, how did that feel in your body? Oh, it looks like somebody's trying to get into the meeting. Okay. Yeah, feel free to share my Zoom link and passcode with them. Okay, so let's see. Amanda says vibrant, amazing, so real. Sandra says expansive. Amanda's like, it's happening. It is happening. Janet says feels powerful. Cecilia, powerful and energetic. Gianna says ready. Karen says grounding and expansive, spacious and relaxed, expansive and empowering. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for naming these embodied, felt experiences in the chat. I want to invite you to stay embodied, stay present, stay in your body throughout this workshop. So you're welcome to stand up. You could do jumping jacks. If I see you jumping up and down, I'll be like, yes, that's awesome. You're staying in your body. So you do you, take care of yourself, take bathroom breaks, eat, make yourself fully comfortable. Let's see. I just want to see if I just wanted to see if I had any texts from women who are trying to get in. All right, looks like everyone's on. Ooh, Lisa says, I felt like a tree with deep roots and luscious leaves. That's gorgeous. That's beautiful. I just kind of got chills. Thank you so much. That's beautiful, Lisa. And Patricia says, anxious as to what is coming next. Yeah, thanks for naming that. That's totally. Thank you for bringing your authenticity. Absolutely. Does anyone else, you can either give a little finger wiggle or type in the chat if anyone else also just feels like a little anxious, whatever that means to you. Yeah, I got some. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay. All right. So, okay. So let me just dive right into the first feminine path to potentially add $100,000 or more to your business income as a light worker. And this first path, everything I'm going to share, in some ways you already know. I'm just hoping to give you maybe a shift in perspective or insights into how you can weave some of these paths into your business, maybe in a new way or a unique way that's right for you. So the first feminine path is speaking or teaching, through speaking and teaching. So teaching and sharing wisdom live or online. Why do I love this path? Because it's relational, right? When you're speaking or teaching, you get to connect with your audience. You get to create a container for trust and intimacy. You get to show up and be in your genius with your teachings. And the reason that this is a restful path, for example, like with a webinar, you can teach, you can speak from the comfort of your own home or office, or from your garden if you have good Wi-Fi. Every single woman healer or coach that I'm aware of that has a financially profitable and financially sustainable business is getting their message out into the world through teaching, right? Through teaching and speaking, same thing. So even if that woman has a book or a podcast or a big social media following or big email list, speaking is the fastest path to attracting clients and therefore immediate greater inflow of income, because people can read your energy, which for those of us that are, healers, light workers, we probably attract an audience that is sensitive to that. People can read your energy and they can feel your depth. And in the process of being out there with your teachings, you are also being seen by other leaders, by other teachers, by other speakers, which often leads to more speaking and guest teaching opportunities. So it's great for positioning. Women in my business mastery circles often earn anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 or more each time they teach or speak. And so in a moment, I'm going to give you some powerful examples of some women who have attracted tons of aligned clients during the pandemic through teaching online. In this case, obviously online during the pandemic. I love speaking live. I love creating live events. But I will be giving examples of the online format, since that's what a lot of us are still in for this moment. So now the number one speaking / teaching client attraction mistake, the number one speaking or teaching client attraction mistake, I'll type this in the chat, is, oh, and Deborah says, is misalignment. I'll finish that sentence. The number one mistake, misalignment. Misalignment, I'll explain what that means in a moment. I appreciate what you're saying, Deborah. I'm always trying to find opportunities to speak, but since I'm not well known yet, it's difficult. So I'm going to see if I address that, and later during the Q&A, if you have questions about that piece, Deborah, I'm happy to answer, because we'll actually address a little bit about like having an email list, having an audience, and that you don't actually have to have a big email list or a big audience to do really well in your business. So hopefully I'll address some of your questions about that. But thank you so much for sharing. So, okay, misalignment. Let's talk about misalignment. Let me grab my notes here. Okay. Sorry, hold on. I just need to like minimize a window so I can get my notes in front of my face. All right, so misalignment. If your talk or your webinar or your workshop is a gateway to attracting clients into your program or your package, then it must be 100% aligned. And I'm going to take out one of my favorite colleagues to give you this example. So if your program teaches women your 5-step process for painting elephants pink, right? Very important program. It's very important that we all learn how to paint elephants pink. Then your webinar or your talk or your workshop needs to highlight why it's important to learn how to paint elephants pink, and maybe even how painting elephants pink will benefit your audience's life in a deep way. So in some ways, when you're teaching a client attracting webinar or workshop, or giving a client attracting talk, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, there has to be alignment between the talk and the program that you most want to attract delicious clients into. So don't lead a webinar or a workshop that's a meditation for world peace and then expect people to then join your 6-month shamanic training. They are related, absolutely, but they're not 100% aligned. So in this vein, I'm going to open it up for the chat. If you were to teach a webinar, workshop, or talk that is 100% aligned with the program you most want to attract clients into, what aligned topics would you teach? And let's go ahead. There's a lot of wisdom here, a lot of speakers, a lot of teachers here. So I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but in the vein of alignment, in the spirit of alignment, go ahead and type into the chat box. If you were to teach workshops, talks, webinars that are 100% aligned with the program or package or session that you most want to attract people into, what aligned topics would you teach? Alignment. Great. Deborah says 10 steps to planifest your future. Okay. Amanda says safe and sacred ceremonial leadership. Gorgeous. That totally resonates. Soulful speaking, says Rebecca. Becoming inspired with wealth building. Gorgeous, Cynthia. Any other just shares, brainstorms? Great. 5 steps to exquisite partnership. Perfect. Absolutely. Yeah. Veronica has an exquisite partnership program and has designed a webinar that is exactly in alignment. Feeling safe in emotional embodiment. Beautiful. That's gorgeous, Janet. Jill, your next step in dismantling white supremacy. I've been teaching white on white, engaging other white people in race conversations. Jill, I love that you do this work. It's so needed, so necessary. And I love that you just name it. You just like, it is what it is, right? Suzanne, moving past cancer, beautiful. Rochelle, looks like 6 modalities. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but thank you for sharing. Davina, Chinese medicine for women's health and fertility, beautiful, very specific, gorgeous. Yeah, I can see from some of these talks and webinar workshop titles, some of these could be names of books, but I can imagine so many of you have a program that's exactly aligned with these topics. So it's just, it seems obvious, but I see women so many times are like, I want to create a workshop about this and a webinar about this. And it's like, you can fully express all of your facets in your program or your package. But when it comes to attracting clients, just make sure that there's alignment. Oh, okay, great. Rochelle is clarifying. Beautiful. All right, gorgeous. Thank you so much. All right, so let me grab my notes again. All right, so I'm going to give you 4 powerful examples of women who owned their medicine. We talked about that at the beginning a little bit, that really owned the medicine that their business is for their community, and dialed in their message, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and had some really incredible results during the pandemic through teaching and through speaking. So let me go ahead and just do a little screen share here. I'm going to break down each of these awesome women. So let me talk about Sean Rhee first. So Sean Rhee, she's one of my clients. She's in my business mastery circle, and she's an embodiment and leadership coach. She's one of my favorite facilitators. I love how she leads rooms. Before the pandemic, when I was doing live events, I often had Sean Rhee come in and just open up the event with just beautiful embodiment exercises. She's just so alive. Anyone who knows her is going to give a big thumbs up for like, yes, that's totally Sean Rhee. She is an amazing facilitator, but she wasn't seeing the numbers of attendees that she wanted for her workshops. And then when she would give a workshop, it wasn't really leading to clients. And so I really encouraged her to own her medicine. We've talked about that. It was just like, what, Sean Rhee, if there's one program that you could attract women into, what would that be? And she's like, okay, it's your Body the Queen program, which she was just formulating. And so we worked together a little bit on her messaging. It was, one of the questions I asked her were just like, what are your 3 highest intentions or prayers for the women that would step into your program? And so once she kind of got clear on that, she was able to use those highest intentions and prayers as like her North Star, and created a beautiful webinar. It was actually much more of like an interactive women's circle. It was called Slow Grind and Unwind, or Unwind and Slow Grind. So super fun. She just owned it. She's like, I'm just putting it out there. Women flocked to it. 150 women ended up signing up for this Unwind and Slow Grind embodied women's circle. And then she was able to announce her new program. And she ended up completely filling 2 whole rounds of her Your Body the Queen program. She filled 1 round with a wait list, and then she was able to say, hey, 2nd round is opening up, and it was already filled with the women that were interested from this webinar. So really beautiful, powerful, heartwarming example. Rihanna had a very similar experience. Rihanna is, we lovingly refer to her as the plant witch. She is an herbalist. She's also a writer. And she came to me a little bit burnt out. We were in one of our one-on-one sessions, and she's like, I don't really want more one-on-one coaching clients. She's like, I want to work with groups. I want to work with like plant medicine and writing. And I was like, you get to do you, girl. I was like, let's first get really clear on what program or circle or package you want to attract people into, like what lights you up, and really own that and kind of clarify your messaging like Sean Rhee had, like what are your deepest intentions and prayers, and getting really clear. And she ended up creating an aligned webinar and attracted 135 people to her webinar, and ended up signing on 29 new clients for her group program called Deepening. And that was just a real wake up for her, that she didn't have to try to fit herself into like the coaching industry standard of like having one-on-one sessions and doing coaching around things that she just really wasn't passionate about. So she got to own her medicine, really get clear about her desires for who she wanted to work with and what she wanted for them. And then she created an aligned interactive workshop, a webinar. This next example is a woman who's a little further along in business. So Sean Rhee and Rihanna had both been in business for a while, but just were like wanting better results. Laura is a very advanced woman in business. She is a colleague, she's a mentor, she's a friend. She was also part of the Business Mastery Circle for a couple years in a row. And I'll just give an example now. This is before the pandemic, but I did want to give this example for those of you that do want to do live retreats and live workshops. So Laura hosted a women's retreat. I think it was a 3-day retreat. It was in the woods. It was in beautiful nature. And let me back up. She first taught a webinar. And during that webinar, she ended up selling tickets for this retreat. And I think about 30 women ended up signing up for her live retreat. So they met in the woods, they did yoga. So a beautiful, beautiful feminine setting in nature. They laughed, they cried. She's also a very powerful facilitator. And on day 2 of that retreat, she just very gently just talked about her 1-year women's feminine leadership program that also has a foundation through yoga. And really just gently just let women think about it. They had the rest of the weekend to decide. She ended up, I think pretty much every woman, like 28 out of the 30 women ended up signing up for this 1-year program. And she essentially earned 6 figures in this one retreat weekend. Again, there was this element of alignment. She was really clear on what she wanted to attract women into, was very clear about what that program was about, dialing in her messaging. And then she created a retreat that was designed to be very appealing for the kind of woman she really wanted to attract, right? Women who enjoy yoga, who like to be in their bodies, who understand the value of feminine leadership and wanting to elevate their own. And then the beginning of that a client attracting pathway was a webinar that was also aligned. So alignment, alignment, alignment. The final example I'm going to give to you is Steph. And I want to tell you about Steph because she's brand new to business when she did this. Steph and I started working together during the pandemic, and she had worked with a few one-on-one clients. But same thing, I asked her, I was like, what is the program or package you most want to attract people into? She's like, it's my 6-month one-on-one program. She really wants to work one-on-one with people. And so it was like, great. We dialed in her messaging, what that program was really about, her deepest prayers and intentions for the people that stepped into that program. We created an aligned webinar that was exactly in alignment with that program. It was a small webinar. She has a small email list. She only has 450 people on her email list. So we did engage in some cross promotion, which I'll talk about more later. I think there were 20 people on the webinar. It was small, it was intimate. And she was able to tell them about her program and earned $10,000 in new client signups just from that one webinar. It was her first webinar. And again, it's just a great example of, even as a newbie with a small list, having that alignment with her medicine, with the program that she wanted to dial in. She was able to use this teaching opportunity, this speaking opportunity, as a fantastic way to attract aligned clients with just this one webinar. So also really inspiring because it is kind of a newbie story. So now she has this beautiful webinar that she can just rinse and repeat in the future. And she's actually crafting a new webinar so that she can bring new wisdom and new teachings to her list. So I'm going to come out of screen share because I know you've been staring at the screen for a little bit here. Let's take a moment. In a moment, I'm going to have you write in the chat box, but let me talk about tools, 2 tools to help make your speaking and your teaching profitable. 2 tools to help make your speaking or teaching profitable. So number 1 is you've got to have magnetic invitation-based talks, intro classes, webinars. So magnetic invitation-based talks. We did talk about alignment, but we didn't talk about an invitation-based talk, webinar, class, whatever you want to call it, teaching. So what I mean by invitation-based, so an invitation-based talk is different than a TED Talk, right? It's different than a motivational speech. It is 100% aligned with the package or program you most want to attract clients into. Hopefully, I've said that enough times that it's like it's going in. An invitation-based talk, a client attracting invitation-based talk, is also a match for the unique type of client you're wanting to attract. Let me write these in the chat box. I know you're taking notes, but just so you have that visual. I'm a visual learner, so I want you to have that. So we talked about that a little bit, like with both Rihanna and with Laura, actually with all 4 examples. Like Rihanna was like tired of just doing like life coaching with people. And she really wanted to get into the plant magic and the writing. And so it's like, great, if you build it, they will come. That's part of the equation, but also creating a beautiful webinar that was designed to call in the kind of client that would want a plant wisdom writing program. And same thing with Laura, right? That she had her beautiful webinar that led to a retreat, that led to her year-long leadership program. The webinar and the retreat were designed to call in perfectly aligned women. So the other thing is that there's also an art to inviting people into your world. How do you flow what you say during your talk, during your workshop, to stay connected to the audience, to maintain intimacy? And so my tip for you, and you can write this down when you're out there teaching, when you're out there leading a workshop or a women's circle that's designed to attract people in, make sure that you emotionally connect to the audience. You have to emotionally connect to the audience in order for that intimacy to happen. So a magnetic invitation-based talk, class, webinar, workshop is 100% aligned with whatever you're wanting to call them into. It's a match for the kind of person you're wanting to attract. And so I'll go back to that example I gave before when I was talking about the pink elephant. So if you lead a meditation for world peace, you're probably going to attract people that are really into meditation. That's great. But if on the other end of that, what you're eventually inviting them into is like a 6-month shamanic training, a meditator may or may not be interested in joining a shamanic training. Some will, but that webinar, that meditation for world peace, would be better suited if it was aligned with a program or a package or a journey that's like an exact match. And then we talked about emotionally connecting to the audience. And there's a million ways to emotionally connect to the audience, but if it is aligned and if it's designed to attract the kind of person that you're wanting to attract into your program, then that makes that emotional connection easier, because that they can you can feel the alignment and your audience can feel that alignment. It just makes it easier to resonate. So the number two tool to make your speaking and your teaching profitable is that you have to be able to make irresistible offers. And let me just put this in the chat and then I'll talk about what that means. So irresistible offers. Sean Rhee, Rihanna, Steph, Laura, these examples of these awesome women that I gave to you all made powerful, irresistible offers. So what is an offer? An offer is the invitation that you make during your webinar, talk, or workshop that invites people to take the next step with you. And this is one of the places where women will often sabotage a client attracting talk or webinar because they don't want to come across as being salesy, right? So let me just name this. Your offer, right? That invitation, it should feel like a delicious invitation to a party, right? You don't need to use sales tactics to try to convince people to join your program or package. Your offer can feel like a delicious invitation to a party, the way that you stand in your value and talk about your program so that it just feels like a yummy next step. So what you say and also what you don't say in that moment where you're making that invitation is incredibly important. So you need to have your offer dialed in. And like I said, this is the number one linchpin in most women's businesses. Women who are just starting out and women who have very established businesses and want to scale, you have to have your offer dialed in. So your offer, your invitation is the number one key to selling your programs. It's to dozens or even hundreds of people every year. The way that you talk about your program so that they are pulling out their credit card right then and there and they're excited to hire you. I'm going to give you a tip. I'll put this in the chat. My offer tip is to practice your offer until you're able to embody it, so that you show up to your workshop with an offer that you've already rehearsed into that point where you can just authentically embody it, where it doesn't feel like you're like a robot making an invitation. That's going to lend to that sense of deliciousness. My clients practice their offers in small groups. I get them together in small groups where they practice their offers with one another for loving feedback. So I'll invite my women clients to rehearse their offers sometimes 3 or 4 times before their workshop that they're about to teach. And then I go in and fine tune it with them with one-on-one laser coaching. So I want you to type into the chat. We're going to pause here before we move to the second feminine path. The first feminine path was teaching and speaking, talked about a few different angles. Type into the chat what has felt important to you so far. And just go ahead and as a way of kind of integrating what we've covered in this first piece. What has felt important to you so far? Anything that you want to name, anything that you want to just kind of like anchor in for yourself. Let's see, I naturally have done this and it's time to align with offer and vision. Beautiful. I'm glad you got that alignment piece, aligning the webinar with the primary offer. Oh, if that was like the one thing you could take with you today, wise women, that would be it. Better alignment, embodying the offer. Yes. I remember the first time I started giving offers, I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, why am I yelling at the audience? My voice literally changed during my offer. Because out of nervousness, I was just like, I was watching myself just get really loud. I am already a loud person. So yeah, beautiful, gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much for sharing it. Hearing it when I'm most ready to receive it. Yes, owning and embodying, allowing my message to be specific to the type of clients I want to attract. Yeah, totally. Absolutely gorgeous. One of the things we talked about in my last masterclass, in service of you multifaceted women being able to express your facets out in the world, because a lot of us like to create workshops and webinars and events. If that's you, give a little finger wiggle if you're like, I really like being, yes, totally. I do too. I recommend in your business having client attracting talks, webinars, workshops, like we just talked about. But I also recommend having like a seasonal just for fun event. This is for those of you that like creating events and like gathering community live or virtually. Consider weaving in just a just for fun event. For me, it's like I recently had the Goddess Tea, which many of you were at. It's like just for fun. I'm not doing any marketing. It's really just us coming together, kind of getting a nice little like refresh as a community. But those fun events, I would say fun and free or spiritual and free, because it could be something like a sound healing is a great example where it's hard to make an offer after people are all zenned out from a sound healing. So it's a great example. Like if you're a sound healer, you can absolutely weave in sound healing into your deeper programs as a healing, but as a public offering, you can use your sound healings as a way to just gather community, establish yourself as a leader and a community leader. And it can also be a really great list builder. So that's just something I just wanted to name that was not in my notes, but might be helpful. Okay, so let's take a moment. I'm going to unmute us, or I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself. And let's just take a moment to take a breath. If you want to stand, you can. Deep breath in and out. Thank you so much. I need those breaths as much, if not more than all of you. helps me stay right on track. Okay, so the second feminine path to add 100K or more to your business income as a light worker is simply email marketing. We're going to dive into this rabbit hole. Give a little finger wiggle if you're an introvert. Any introverts in the house? Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually an introvert. I'm loud and gregarious when I am out. I'm like all the jazz hands. But I actually require a lot of alone time and a lot of downtime to be able to recharge. And so I love email marketing because I get to hang out in my underwear on my laptop in bed and still connect with the women in my community. I don't spend a lot of time with email marketing, but it is the number one way that I grew my business from 0 to 6 figures as an introvert. And it is a big key to helping you attract waves of the right clients and therefore income again and again. I guess I should do like this motion, attract waves of clients and income again and again. So why? Because it is relational, even though it is digital, even though it is like definitely a few steps removed from something like a talk or a workshop or a webinar, it is relational, right? You can make an emotional connection through writing, right? Books, blogs, and email marketing. It's also restful and relaxed because you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Some of you know that for many years, I grappled with chronic debilitating illness, and it allowed me to stay connected with all of you and stay connected to, my business in a way that didn't require me to be out a lot, out in the spotlight a lot. So some tools, I'm just gonna dive right into the tools. Tools that will help make your email marketing profitable. And then I'm going to give you some inspiring examples. So the first tool is, of course, you do need a thriving email list. It doesn't have to be big, but you do need a thriving email list. That's just kind of the name of the game for email marketing. And summertime, which is coming right up, is a great time for list building. List building can be fun. It can be restful. It can be relational. You can grow your list through events, right? We talked about fun-free events or spiritual events. You can also offer a delicious free gift on your website. You can also grow your list through collaboration, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Last month, I taught an entire masterclass called 12 Ways to Grow Your List and Create Community Like a Queen. And so I'm going to give that to all of you to take this link with you. This is a recording of that class. It's private. I haven't made it public, but you awesome women can have that. That is the entire recording of that masterclass. So enjoy resourcing yourself. And in that masterclass, we raised $1,000 for charity. It was awesome. So let me get a sip of water. Hold on a second. Okay. Bear with me for a sec. Okay. Notes. Okay. So email list. Your email list is, I don't want you to think of it, it can feel like this abstract kind of mental construct, but I want you to just really feel in your heart that your email list is a community of amazing human beings who at some point along the way decided to say yes to you, right? They're on your list because they signed up for something, or they grabbed your free gift, or they came to an event, right? Or they said, hey, add me to your list. So a healthy email list or a healthy following is ideally thriving with people who are already what I call aligned and inclined to buy your deeper program. So this ties into that alignment thing again. This time we're talking about the email list. Let me just put that in the chat box here. Oh, you're welcome, Gianna, Heather, Cynthia, Jennifer, Kirsten, Jenna. You're welcome. All the thank yous. So a healthy email list or healthy following is thriving with people who are already aligned and inclined to buy your deeper programs. So list building just for the sake of having a bigger list is not what we're talking about today. You can have great success and outcomes with a small email list by creating opportunities for intimacy, like a talk, like a webinar, like a masterclass, creating opportunities for intimacy with these people on your list who've already said yes to you. They've already jumped through a hoop and they're on your list. So like Stephanie, I gave the example of Stephanie who earned $10,000 from one webinar. She had a small email list of less than 500 people. So the number one tool that we just talked about, thriving email list, okay? Number two tool to make your email marketing work for your business is having a clear, powerful message, right? Clear, powerful subject lines, clear, powerful messages. Let me talk about, here we come back to that emotional connection, messaging that emotionally connects to people. Now, here's where we do a little bit of a deeper dive into owning your medicine. One skill that most women lightworkers need to elevate is having clean, clear messaging that emotionally connects to people. So if you are offering something woo, right? If you're offering something that's essentially kind of spiritual or energetic or woo, then you must be able to talk about your offering in a way that people value. So a clear message will elevate your brand. It will establish you as a trusted expert. The way you talk about your offerings needs to feel magnetic, powerful, so that people immediately want to sign up or buy your course or hire you or pay you well. So I'm going to give you some journaling prompts. We won't take the time to journal all of these, but I meant to put that little note that I said earlier. If you're offering something woo, you must be able to talk about your offering in a way that people that actually value. Okay. All right. So here are the journaling prompts. I'll read through them. I want you to choose one, and we're just going to take like 30 seconds of just stream of consciousness journaling. you can just dive into one of these and then take the rest with you and maybe work on them, over the next week or so. So the journaling prompts. Journaling prompt number 1, how can I attune my messaging to emotionally connect with people in an uplifting way that offers hope, clarity, or next steps? In old paradigm marketing, there's a whole focus on the pain, and it's good to know what issues and pain points that you solve. Absolutely. And there's a lot of value in naming the shadow in your marketing. But it's nice to initially, when you're just meeting people, kind of meeting them where they're at, it's helpful to have an uplifting message to offer hope, offer clarity, or next steps. So that's the first journaling. The second one is, how can I attune my message and my offerings to be essentially needed even during times of crisis? So this is definitely about owning your medicine. Like, how can, especially when we were first going into the pandemic, it, a lot of the work I did with my clients was like, okay, we can't just rely on the fact that your audience likes to come to workshops, right? Because everything is changing, at least for now. So like, how can you deepen your message to make it clear that what the healing that you offer, or the modality, or the work that you do is deeply needed in times of crisis? So that's another piece. The third question is, what are the life-changing results that you as the healer has experienced from the healing or modality that you offer? So for example, if you're a Reiki practitioner, a lot of times women healers, the one way that they don't own their medicine through their message is they don't want to feel like they're over-promising, right? They don't want to make like promises that are like unreal or unrealistic, because that feels salesy. But if you look at your own lived experience and how Reiki has deeply healed your body, your relationship, your health, your well-being, your, whatever, your ability to manifest, and speak from your lived experience and let that come through your message, then it's not an overpromise, because you have lived that, you have experienced that. So what are the life-changing results that you have experienced from the healing or modality that you offer? And then the final question is, if everything I offer is a life-changing or game-changing opportunity, what opportunity am I inviting my community into? Okay, so we're going to take about 30 seconds of silence. I'm not going to talk. You can just do a little journaling, record some thoughts. You can sit with eyes closed if you want, or type in the chat. So type for yourself, type into the chat. Hi, Ishka. Oh my gosh, so great to see you. Oh, great. That's gorgeous. The questions are in the chat. Let me put them again. Okay. Oh, well, that wasn't helpful. Hold on a second. There, Amanda, there's the questions. Okay, fantastic. We've got about 20 more seconds. Great. Yeah, Deborah says, definitely saving this chat. Ishka says, I love creating emails for my people. Good. I love your emails. I'm on Ishka's email list. I'm working towards doing it 2 to 4 times a month with really engaging content. I now do it about 1 to 2 times a month. Yeah, I remember one of my mentors who also runs a very feminine, spacious, beautiful business said, she's like, one of the mistakes that women healers make is that they don't email their list enough. I'm not a fan of like the daily emails that I sometimes get when I get onto someone's list. That just feels like too much. But I think like once a week isn't too much if it is an aligned and thriving audience, right? If that emotional connection is there. So absolutely, that feels wise, Ishka. All right, you can always come back to this journaling afterwards. So let's go ahead and continue. So I'm going to go ahead and give you examples of email marketing, or like some women that engage in specific types of email marketing. I'll get more specific as these examples move forward. So I'm going to give you 4 examples, just like I did last time. And again, these are from the pandemic. These are my clients that just all of these examples, except for Laura Cornell's, are all just within the last 6 months. So this is all like relevant. So here we go. All right. Oh, what am I doing? I think I didn't do that right. Hold on a second. Bear with me for a sec. Okay, that's more like it. All right. So Lisanne is an energy healer. She has several programs that are around transformational alchemy. So her business is very, very woo. And one of the things that we first started working on again was just dialing in her message, because she just has this beautiful flowery, like spiritual language. But sometimes when she's saying her thing, it's like, I receive the transmission of what you're saying, Lisanne, but I don't actually know what you're saying. And so in terms of translating into an email or into marketing, like we do need to kind of get a little more clear about what it is that you're offering. So she got clear. The clarity was really the key with Lisanne. It was not only messaging, it was clarity around her pricing, which there was just some like funky ways that her pricing was kind of being offered. And so with that alignment, even though she was just first working on the alignment of messaging, alignment around pricing, she just kind of put it out there. She's like, hey, doors are open for my transformational alchemy program. And back in December, she ended up enjoying her second $20,000 income month. And it was, again, that just alignment, clarity. I always talk about pricing. You can charge whatever you want as a healer. There are, women who do work like Lisanne, who are energy healers, who charge, hundreds of dollars. There are women who charge thousands of dollars. As long as the pricing feels right in your body as the healer, that will translate to your audience. So if you feel aligned with your pricing, then that is the right pricing for you. I will never push my clients to charge, go, charge more, because that just, it just doesn't work. That alignment has to be there. Gianna, who's here with us, also same thing. It was just like she came into my program and just kind of needed to cocoon for a little while and just get clear on she knew what she wanted to offer, but just get kind of clear on next steps. And she's like, what I'm really excited about is my shamanic hypnosis. And so she ended up just creating shamanic hypnosis packages, put it out there, just personal, sent a couple personal emails to former clients, out to her email list, which is also very small, but very thriving, and ended up selling 5 of her brand new aligned one-on-one shamanic hypnosis packages in 2 weeks. So she put it out there. Within 2 weeks, she'd already signed on 5 new clients for this brand new offering, because the passion was there, the alignment was there. Let me get a little more specific in our next example. So, hold on a second. Yay, so Jan's here. So Jan ended up, I'll talk about the specific kind of tactics, if you will, with Jan and Debbie. So running a sale can be a powerful way to attract clients. People like sales if it's authentic, if the pricing feels aligned in your body, you feel like you're still being taken care of really well, even though you're running a sale, can be really, really magnetic. And Jan is such a magnetic woman. In fact, that's so much of what she teaches. She's an international tantra teacher. She also teaches women how to magnetize their partners. So she ended up, she's like, Jessica, I got to get clients. She's like, here it is, 2021, here we go, right? So she ended up offering a just little discount, little 20% little discount, sent out some emails. Also, like Gianna, kind of personally reached out to some people who had been interested in the past, but the timing just wasn't right, and ended up enjoying in January a $14,000 income month with her new aligned multi-dimensional love package. I see Amanda doing a little like happy dance for you, Jan. So again, just a really great example of aligned pricing, doing a little sale, just saying, hey, doors are open. And then in that email, it's like, hey, and if you do choose to join, I'll give you 20% off, hop on the phone, let's just connect, no pressure. And she really just allowed herself to heart connect with these incredible people who were just like, yes, Jan, now's the time. So a sale can kind of act almost like an early bird, offering, and that it's like, it creates a little bit of like a now's the time in the mind of your potential client that can be helpful. Debbie, final example of email marketing. Debbie actually has a pretty big email list, big, thriving. She's been doing her clairvoyant and hypnosis work for years. But Debbie was kind of weighed down with having lots of little offerings. And so I was encouraging her to kind of streamline her business and just have like, 2 or 3 like meaty offerings that were really exciting for her. It's like, because she was like, I don't really want to help people quit smoking and lose weight. Like she gets a lot of inquiries. Like that's fine, but she's like, I really want to like train people to be hypnotherapists. And I was like, I want to train people to be clairvoyant. Like she wants to do work with the healers. So it's like, great, let's create a program. Let's create a training. So the way hers was a 2-pronged process. She sent an email to her list, a summer sale. It was actually her birthday sale. She's like, Debbie's birthday sale. And it was like a flash sale for one-on-one hypnosis. She actually ended up selling 40 sessions. So it was like a little too much, but she sold her entire summer calendar, which was great because a lot of those people ended up being really great candidates for her new clairvoyant training. So in August, she ended up enjoying her first $20,000 month. 2 months later, she had another $20,000 month, and now she just knows how to rinse and repeat. My feedback for Debbie would probably be limit the number of slots in your calendar, because 40 is a lot. That's a lot for a busy entrepreneur. But she did get to enjoy that and enjoy the benefits of that, and was able to repeat that same $20,000 income month without having to have 40 one-on-one sessions. So it was a little bit of refinement, but you can run a flash sale. You can say, hey, I'm offering one-on-one sessions and normally they're this and now they're this. That can be a really powerful way to just, connect individually with people in your audience. So some really great, if you have questions, feel free to, about any of these stories, feel free to bring them to the Q&A. Afterwards. We are rocking and rolling. Let me talk real quick before we wrap up this email marketing rabbit hole. The number one tip that wealthy women healers use all the time in their messaging, so women that just have their messaging dialed in, this is a huge tip, so simple, but I'm always surprised at women not engaging in this amazing resource. The tip is to just get feedback. Get feedback. Don't figure out your messaging all in your head. Yes, listen to divine guidance. Listen to your intuition, but also get feedback, right? Run your ideas and your messaging by other people, other colleagues, maybe clients that you just really resonate with. Run your ideas and your messaging by other people who are excited about your work getting out into the world. I gather all of my women clients in small groups together to give each other loving, constructive feedback around their messaging, around their pricing, around their email invitations, even around their subject lines. So run your ideas and your messaging by other people before you put it out into the world, just to make sure it sticks. A lot of times women healers will kind of do throw the spaghetti against the wall and hope that it sticks. You don't have to do that. You can actually get feedback from people that love you, who are your advocates, who want your wisdom out in the world. So before we move into the third path, go ahead and type into the chat what resonates with you so far about what we just talked about: email marketing, messaging, pricing, some of the examples I may have given. Let's see. Oh, great. Some great notes happening in the chat. Yeah, absolutely, Jen. It's great to highlight you. Great. Jill says feedback. Yep, totally. We as women healers, we can fall into the trap of trying to lone wolf our business, right? We're like the one woman army with our business. And that is such a big linchpin for sure. It's hard to ask for support. I get that. Like it can be challenging to say, hey, I'd love a second pair of eyes on this. So let's see. Thank you for sharing the pitfalls. Absolutely. Sharing what experiences changed my life. If you feel aligned with your pricing and your body, then you can charge what you want. Yes. Don't worry about losing some subscribers. Absolutely. Unsubscribes. It's always sad. It's always like, don't go. But at the same time, why would I want a woman on my list that doesn't want to hear from me, or where she's just not, maybe she's not even an entrepreneur. She came in through one of the T's, or who knows. So it's like in the dating world, I think of like when you get a no from somebody that you're dating, getting that clear no, it's great because it frees you up to then be like, awesome, be a yes to something else. So even just that no can be, a form of like a yes, kind of a yes and. Yeah, great. Getting clear, getting serious. Beautiful. Excited about the rinse and repeat. Absolutely. Yeah, I think combination of, webinars throughout the year, even just a seasonal webinar workshop throughout the year, plus email marketing, those can dovetail really beautiful for just a feminine, sustainable, easily six-figure healing practice or business. Amanda says, I celebrate unsubscribes because the universe is saying we're not aligned or my ideal client. Beautiful. All right. Oh, my doggy wants in. Hold on a second. Okay. All right, so the third feminine path to potentially add $100,000 or more to your business income as a light worker are to have juicy group programs in addition to one-on-one work. And I'm actually going to break down two different client attracting models for group programs. Historically, when I've taught this masterclass, I've only talked about one model. I'm giving you two, so you're getting the best of the best today. I'm just going to take a sip of water before we move on. All right, awesome sip of tea. Okay, so the two group program prosperity pathways that will help to create spaciousness and financial freedom in your business. So let me talk about just group programs as a concept first. So group programs can be really in alignment for you if you prefer to do deeper work with clients, because a group program can in and of itself deeply serve people, but it can also set potential one-on-one clients, can set people up to be prepared to work even more deeply with you later on. It can give them context and language and concepts and ideas so that you can do even deeper work in your one-on-one. You can also bundle one-on-one sessions with your group programs, but you will be surprised to find out that your clients will probably need fewer one-on-one sessions with you when they're like during the time that they're in the group program because of the power of the group. When people are part of a group, they're inspired and motivated by others in the group. They often, in that feeling, that sense of community, sometimes inspires them to commit to actually doing the deeper work or doing the work deeper than they would have. And also sharing and being witnessed are powerful medicines. Yeah. Sharing and being witnessed are powerful, powerful medicines. So in a moment, I'm going to talk about the two program models that are client attracting blueprints that have helped my clients earn anywhere from $10,000 in a month to $50,000 in a month with group programs. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. What I love about group programs is that they can be restful and spacious. You can serve a lot of clients potentially at one time. A full one-on-one practice in traditional psychotherapy, A full one-on-one practice is usually thought of as about 20 clients, but 20, 21 clients is a full one-on-one practice, but you could potentially serve many more than 21 amazing clients with a group program, and essentially charge the same per person, making significantly more. So group programs are a great way to get off the hamster wheel of getting paid only by the hour, by the session, getting off the hamster wheel of only working one-on-one with people, which has a glass ceiling because there's only so many hours in the day or the week or the month. So let's talk about the group program prosperity pathway number 1, which is, oh, I see Dr. Elizabeth says 25 to 30. Well, that's much higher than any other psychotherapist I've ever heard. So Dr. Elizabeth, you're a powerhouse. All right, so group program prosperity pathway number 1 is memberships. So let me go ahead and give you, and I'm just going to dive right in with an example here to tell you how Laura is totally rocking membership. So Laura Zylan, again, this is also just in the last couple months. Oh, hold on a second. Let me get my notes going on here. Okay, great. So Laura Zylan is she used to be like an editor, like more in the traditional writing world, but she, again, kind of like Rihanna, she's like, I really want to do more spiritual work. I want to be with women and work on manifesting as well as writing. She came to me and she's like, my one-on-one practice feels pretty full. She's like, I don't actually want that many one-on-one clients. We go super deep. I want to have time to do my own writing and my own time. So her one-on-one practice was full. And so she decided to host a free journaling mini retreat, like manifest your dreams, little mini retreat. It was virtual because this is during the pandemic. This is back in December or January. And there were 40 people at that retreat. She has a decent sized email list that is thriving. So there were 40 people at the retreat. It was free. They just got together on Zoom and did some deep journaling. And so she ended up creating a membership, a group membership called the Unruled Notebook. And she ended up just offering them to join right then and there during the journaling mini retreat. She charges about $100 a month. It's a little under $100 a month to be part of this membership, where she shows up and actually continues to do journaling with them a couple times a month. They get access to resources. They get access to all of her manifestation practices. And of those 40 webinar participants, 20 of them ended up signing up. So she essentially earned $2,000 right then and there that day. And then now she's got that $2,000 in essentially passive sales coming in every month. And then if she builds on that, let's say that seasonally she decides to do this again, to rinse and repeat, and is able to duplicate what she did in January, she could potentially by this time next year be earning $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month just from this membership. And that recurring income coming in. And all she's got to do is show up a couple times a month with the group, be a little bit active in the Facebook group, and continue to serve her one-on-one clients at her leisure. So the key to, I'm going to take us at a screen share. The key to a membership being a super easy sell, super easy to offer. Number one, it helps if it's low cost, not too low, but I recommend maybe $50 to $100 per month. It's also important that the people that sign up for the membership, that there is like a minimum time commitment. So for example, she had like a 3-month minimum. Like when you join, minimum commitment is 3 months, and then you just continue from there. So, commitment to a time frame, maybe 6 months or 3 months or something like that, 4 months. And also that there is some kind of self-study component so that you're not always having to source all of the information, and maybe 1 or 2 larger group gatherings like Laura's doing each month for Q&A, for connection, for integration. She can also use as opportunities to do a teaching. So that is the membership model. group program prosperity pathway number 1, memberships. All right, so the group program prosperity pathway number 2 is having some kind of what I call a depth program, which is a deep dive group program. Oftentimes these can be a little bit smaller, a little more intimate, but I've seen women that have depth programs that are, have tons of people in them. Women have been hearing about my business mastery circles for years. Clients refer their friends, women come away with happy results. My business mastery circle has been around for a long time. So it's easy for me to fill, partially because it's something that I'm known for. It's like a cornerstone program. It's a deep dive program that I'm known for. So I highly recommend that you have a depth program that you offer in addition to any other offerings, and extra bonus points if your group program, if your depth program is evergreen, which means that people can join anytime. When a group program is evergreen, when people can just join at any time, it's really cool, because then you get out of the pressure to have to launch all the time. Like, I never have to launch my program because it's always in action, right? And then when women step in, they're stepping into a really vibrant, already connected community. So there's also kind of that Montessori effect of being in circle with women who are playing at their same level, but some of the women are a few steps ahead, and the inspiration that comes from that. So nearly every financially successful heart-based entrepreneur that I know has a sought after group program that they are known for, they become known for. And a depth program can be priced anywhere from, $1,000 to $10,000. So again, as long as the pricing is aligned for you, that gives you a huge range. I'm going to give you a couple of examples for depth programs just real quick. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So Lisa Denon Young came to me with a brand new business. She had a lot of ideas. So I did have her hone in on what she was creating. And we actually did that 3 times. She ended up in a year creating 3 new programs in 1 year, and owned her medicine, got clear on her messaging, created a group program that she invited people into, and enjoyed her first $20,000 month. With that group program, it gave her confidence, right? She got to really experience herself as a leader, be in her facilitation and her teachings. And then so she created a deeper program, a deeper, longer, higher priced program. And back in November, enjoyed a $100,000 income month ultimately between these 3 programs. So really, really incredible. She's a performer, she's an artist, she's an allyship mentor. She's also an embodied leadership coach. And she was able to just weave in her talents and create these juicy programs. Oops, bear with me for a sec. Eva and Tara also have these incredibly lucrative businesses, coaching businesses centered around doing group work. They both do one-on-one, but they're able to kind of move past their financial, income earning ceiling, because they've got juicy, sought after group programs. So during this last year, during the pandemic, Eva enjoyed her first $60,000 quarter, earned $60,000 in 1 quarter. That's 3 months, really incredible. Tara enjoyed her first $100,000 quarter, and that was with their group programs. They showed up with their teachings, they taught powerful webinars, they created intimacy with their audience, they had powerful offers, right? Powerful invitational offers, inviting people into their programs, and it was just really, really incredibly powerful for both of them. All right, so let's talk about the key, the number 1 key to selling a depth program that is in that like $1,000 to $10,000 range or more. I mean, there are group programs that are more than 10,000. The number 1 key to selling a a depth program, right, with that higher ticket price, you have to have your enrollment call dialed in. These are an enrollment call is a one-on-one conversation. These one-on-one conversations allowed people to feel trust and intimacy and connection with Lisa, with Eva, with Tara. It allowed people to really discover if their group program was a fit, right? There's a specific flow to that enrollment call. And it could be a whole workshop in and of itself. It's definitely something we focus on hugely in my business mastery circles. And when I coach women around this one-on-one enrollment call, it's because it's often the main linchpin right there. It's another big linchpin right there in the enrollment call. What do you say? What do you not say to potential clients? So I highly recommend that you have juicy group programs, maybe a sought after affordable membership or a depth program or both that you're known for, that nourish your community, that give you multiple streams of income. And if you're going to be selling your higher ticket depth programs, you need to have that enrollment conversation really dialed in. So let's talk about the fourth feminine path to add $100,000 or more to your business income as a light worker. Oh, let's take a moment while I'm taking a sip of my tea. Go ahead and type in the chat what has resonated with you so far, specifically around group programs. Anything that was said that you just want to kind of anchor in or metabolize, feel free to type it right here in the chat. Beautiful. What do we have here? Let's see. Jill said, I had people apply first in writing, then an interview would follow if it was a fit. Yeah, having some kind of application process can be powerful. Making the deep dive program evergreen. Yes, that's one of the big things I also wish you would take with you. Women come into my business mastery circle, and sometimes they'll do like 2 or 3 or 4 rounds in a row because they come in, their business grows, and they're like, let's do that again. That was awesome. And their business grows, and so it allows space for people to continue and continue and continue. So that's cool. But it also allows you to be a yes anytime someone's like, hey, I heard about your program. Like, how do I find out more? You can set up that call and take the time to create that trust and intimacy, and always be a yes to new clients, which I love. It just takes the pressure of a launch off the shoulders of your business. Let's see, deep dive programs and memberships. I need to think more about what I could offer that way. Absolutely. Let this be something that just plants seeds for the future for you, Deborah. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Jill says, but most of them get to know me a bit through my posts and interactions on LinkedIn. Absolutely. That's part of that, creating an emotional connection through your messaging. It could be email marketing, or in this case, you're using social media and posts. Beautiful. An example of an evergreen program. So an evergreen program is something that it doesn't have a start or an end. Like when people come into the program, they might receive a certain amount of time, but they don't have to join on May 1st. It's like they can join at any time and come right into the curriculum and right into the community that already exists, which can be really powerful. I'm happy to answer more questions about that too. Awesome. Okay, great. Some beautiful. Oh, I've tried group programs before, but found that participants would not show up and share. Oh, interesting. Okay, great. Let's address that in the Q&A, and also we can talk about that off thread too. Yeah, I have some thoughts about that, but I want to move to our next little content piece, but that's super juicy. All right, so the fourth feminine path to add to your business income as a light worker is collaboration, cross promotion. I love how feminine and relational collaboration is. It is the #1 way that wealthy women healers attract clients that you can also start doing immediately. I'll give you a little example. This woman is actually not a client, but I'm always so inspired by her, and I know that many of you know her. Sage Levine. Sage Levine is a wonderful example. During the pandemic, she had to cancel her live event. So she did a client attracting live event. So she did a virtual event anyway. In any case, she had dozens of amazing cheerleaders out there promoting her event. 2,000 women showed up for her virtual event, and she had a $1 million, earned $1 million in sales from that one event. So you don't necessarily have to have, so someone like Sage, just for example, and a lot of very established women who've surpassed that six-figure mark into multiple six figures, seven figures, they have 50, 100, 150 people promoting every single one of their events. Now, you don't necessarily need 100 people out there, you know, to power partnering and promoting your events. That's okay. But let me give you a little bit of math. Let's say that you power partner with just 4 people. Let's say you get 4 people to promote your webinar, your upcoming webinar or workshop. And let's just say, just for easy math, I'll type this in the chat box, that each of those 4 power partners has an email list of 5,000 people. So if they are all promoting your webinar, that means your webinar was just promoted to 20,000 people. Now, obviously not all 20,000 people are going to come to your webinar. That would be amazing. But let's say that just 2% of those 20,000 people end up registering for your webinar. That means that 400 people have registered for your webinar. Just 2%. If like just 2% resonate and are like, yes, I want to come to this webinar, then you've attracted 400 people to your webinar. So that's just some like trying to make the math easy. Let me give you a couple of examples of exactly what I'm talking about in terms of this. These are, I think, my final examples. Couple of examples from the pandemic. We already talked about Eva and Tara. So Laura, I'm bringing in Laura again. We talked about her earlier. So Laura ended up power partnering with just one power partner who had a large and also very aligned email list. She created, this is a different webinar than what we talked about before. This was earlier in the fall 2020. She created a Step into Your Purpose Through Journaling webinar. She teamed up with one power partner. They both promoted it, and she manifested 640 signups for her very first webinar, Step into Your Purpose Through Journaling. Can you imagine? I'd love to have 640 women on a webinar. I kind of like the smaller, more intimate, but that's amazing. And again, she's a manifestation through writing guide. She's not a business coach. She's not a financial coach, but her message landed because her power partner had an aligned audience of people who are interested in this stuff. And they also had a fairly sizable audience. Adriana is a documentary filmmaker. She's also an art therapist and uses art and creativity to help people with trauma, addiction, through the power of art and creativity. So she was like, I need to raise money for my film, but we're in a pandemic. So she did some fundraising in the spring. She actually did really, really well with that. But she's like, you know what? I'm going to get some other creatives and artists on board to help spread the word. So everybody promoted this fundraiser happening in August. In the month of August, she raised over $20,000 for her film during a pandemic, a film that's about creativity. And because of that, her list grew, and she ended up manifesting over 100 signups for her next 2 webinars. This is just this past fall. So again, just the power of having other people support you in getting the message out there, especially around your introductory offerings, such as webinars, events, etc. So keep it simple. The number one mistake is people get into partnerships that are too complicated. Keep it simple. Maybe it's something as simple as like, hey, I'll share your free gift to my list. You share my free gift to your list. and just kind of cross-pollinating, or I'll promote your webinar, you promote mine. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Maybe I'll host you to be a guest teacher for the people in my program, and you host me to be a guest teacher in your program. So keep it really simple. You don't have to profit share. It can really just be helping each other spread the word. I call it list weaving. That can be really, really powerful. So you need to have a solid team of cheerleaders, cross promotion, brothers and sisters who've agreed to promote your workshop well ahead of time, which means you need to be connected with a bunch of people who have email lists, who have a following. Okay. So what if you're saying to yourself in this moment, what if you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know a lot of people who have email lists with big followings that would collaborate with me. I'd like to invite you to set an intention. Just start with setting an intention around surrounding yourself with people, with women, with entrepreneurs, with healers who are maybe a few steps ahead of you, right? So my aligned homework for you is that you start surrounding yourself. I put women here because we're a group of women, with people, with folks. Surround yourself with folks who are a few steps ahead of you, and just set an intention for that cross promotion synergy. It's amazing what you can create in your business with just setting a really clear intention. Like, hey, I want to expand my network of colleagues. I've watched some really powerful things open up in women's businesses just from setting that intention. I'm going to give just 2 final success stories before we open it up for Q&A. And these are 2 of my most powerful collaboration cross-promotion examples. So here we go. Last 2 inspiration stories. So Valencia joined my program before the pandemic, a little bit before the pandemic, but she had moved to the Bay Area from the East Coast and didn't have any community here. So she had to start from scratch, completely from scratch, because she had been a medical doctor and she was transitioning into being a more holistic functional medicine practitioner. She ended up, I said, Valencia, just set an intention for collaboration. Make this entire year be about connecting with colleagues, growing a referral circle, just getting out there in the world through other people's audiences because you're in some kind of collaborative arrangement. And she ended up just totally taking that on. She's like, I'm just going to heart connect with all of the holistic health practitioners, people in the field of holistic health. And she ended up growing her functional medicine business from zero, from nothing, from scratch, to earning $100,000 in 1 year. She was also invited to be a speaker at the Shift Network, which massively grew her email list because that's an audience of like nearly 1 million people. She got speaking gig after speaking gig because she took the time to really drop in and really heart connect with other holistic practitioners. That was her number 1 intention, and it got her very, very far. Brianna Kavanaugh, she has a multiple 6-figure business. She earned 6 figures in just 1 year, just from client referrals through the other women in the Business Mastery Circle program. So just this one pocket, my little program, she took the time to make connections and created a referral network with the other women in the program that were a fit, and ended up attracting 6 figures in client income just from that, in addition to her other income. So us women got to link arms and move forward together. Incredibly powerful feminine prosperity pathway. So again, that aligned homework. Start surrounding yourself with other folks who are a few steps ahead of you, that have audience, that have lists, etc. Great. Oh, great, Jennifer. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. She messaged me privately. Okay, great. So type in the chat box, has this been helpful for you? Type yes in the chat box if this has been helpful for you. We're going to open it up for Q&A. in just a couple moments here. Awesome. Veronica says yes. Steph says yes. Beautiful. Okay, great. I'm so glad that this is landing. Again, some of these concepts are concepts you probably already know, and I'm hoping that, you know, this is also just a bit of a reminder of what works. So awesome. Oh, great. Suzanne says, I'm very encouraged. All right, we're about to open it up for Q&A. Let's do a little bit of a recap of what we've covered so far, especially with the tools that need to be in place to have these 4 paths work. So I'm going to give you a little visual for the recap. Awesome. Okay, great. So here we go. So we talked about weaving in magnetic invitation-based talks, classes, webinars, workshops that emotionally connect to your audience so that hiring you feels like a natural next step. Also talked about making irresistible offers, right? Which is the key to attracting dozens or even hundreds of clients every year through that delicious invitation, right? You're inviting them to like a delicious party. And we also talked about having a clear, powerful message, which includes a thriving email list, that your emails, your marketing, your messaging are magnetic and inspire people to immediately want to sign up. We talked about having juicy group programs, right, that allow you to, oh, there's a little typo there. Good job, Jessica. Allow you to work less and make more with multiple income streams, right? We talked about having a deep dive depth program, maybe a membership program or both. We also talked about one-on-one enrollment, and I didn't really talk about this like math here, but when you are talking with a potential client, ideally, you know, 70 to 90% of the people you talk to on the phone end up being a yes. That is a 70 to 90% conversion rate. So if you talk to 10 people, 7, 8, or 9 of them end up being a yes. So that's really, you know, really about dialing in your one-on-one enrollment so that you can sell your high ticket programs with intimacy without being salesy. It actually taking the time to have that one-on-one call allows you to charge more. And number 6, we talked about having a solid team of power partners. This is the fastest way to grow your following and reach new clients. So surrounding yourself with cheerleaders that are excited to promote you. So we're going to take just a moment to do a little bit of journaling. We're just going to take about a minute here. Just take a moment to meditate on each of these. I'll leave these up and just journal in your own journal. Where do you need to grow? Do you need to weave in magnetic invitation-based talks, classes, webinars, or workshops? Do you need to elevate your offers or learn how to make offers that are irresistible? Do you need to fine-tune your message or grow your email list? Do you need to maybe weave in some kind of juicy group program and get out of the one-on-one rat race? Do you need to dial in your one-on-one enrollment call? And do you need to grow a solid team of power partners? Grow your audience. It's a great way to grow your audience nationally, even internationally. So just take a moment to do a little journaling. I'm going to go ahead and just put my timer for 1 more minute and just stream of consciousness, anything that wants to come through about where do you need to grow? Where do you need to grow? All right, so you can come back to this a little bit later if you'd like. So I am going to just take a moment before we open up to Q&A to give you an invitation. I have an invitation for you. What if I could support you to build your, oops, there goes the timer for the journaling. What if I could support you to create magnetic invitation-based talks, workshops, webinars? What if I could support you to create irresistible offers, to clarify your message and grow your email list? What if I could support you to create a juicy group program that you're known for, that people are drawn to elevate your income? What if I could support you to elevate your one-on-one enrollment? And what if I could teach you how to build a solid team of power partners? So I want to invite you to join my Business Mastery Circle, which is all about supporting women leaders and lightworkers to align and create prosperous offerings that fit together like a cohesive money-making ecosystem, to attract waves of the right clients and income again and again, and to expand beyond your current audience, maybe even nationally or internationally. The Business Mastery Circle program includes one-on-one coaching with me, where we're going to turn your expertise into powerful, prosperous talks, workshops, programs that call in high-paying clients and deeply serve. And I'm going to co-create with you a step-by-step plan to create spaciousness in your business and elevate your income in ways that fit with your personality, your energy levels, and your unique goals. And I'm also going to be here to give you loving accountability so that you can accomplish what you said you wanted to accomplish this next year. The Business Mastery Circle also includes access to my Wisdom Vault, which includes a one-on-one enrollment training that's all about how to sell a $2,000 to $10,000 program without being salesy. It also includes my trainings around how to build a six-figure webinar business and how to create your international speaking business for those of you that are wanting to expand internationally. And I also give you not one, but two blueprints to craft your irresistible offer, where you get to do you get to show up with your message and just follow my step-by-step blueprints to make those delicious offerings that attract clients. And then the final piece, which I think is the heart and the soul of this program, is that you are surrounded by Circle Sisters. This program includes a built-in team of power partners. You can grow your following through your friendships with the other highly connected women in this program with you to get loving feedback around your message, around your marketing, around your offers, around your pricing, and get out-of-the-box resources and solutions from experienced women who have been where you are. This is all about turning your expertise into prosperous offerings that deeply serve. And the cool thing is that you don't have to figure it out alone. Some of the women in Circle with you have already given profitable talks and webinars and workshops. They've sent profitable emails. They've created profitable programs. So you get to get their valuable perspective as well as my one-on-one coaching. So it really takes the guesswork out of everything. You don't have to figure this out all alone. Brianna, who I mentioned earlier, who earned six figures in a year just through her connections with the other women in this program. She says, I treasure the friendships and clients I've attracted. This has been a fabulous place to grow my business to the multiple six-figure level. So to find out more and join, I am including my link to schedule in our little chat here. So let me pull up the chat. That's there for you in the chat. To find out more and join my Business Mastery program, I just invite you to connect with me. Schedule your one-on-one application call with me. The link is in the chat box. And if you do schedule your call with me today, I will give you a 20% discount should you choose to join the program. So this is all about measurably growing your business in this next year with relaxed, restful flow. And during this call, I'm just going to answer your questions. There's no pressure. I'm going to give you all of the information you need to join my transformational business mastery circles for women. And I'll take us out of screen share in just a moment, but I just want to name that this program is for women who are further along in their business or for women who are a little bit newer. Laura earned six figures in one weekend. She actually ended up doing 2 rounds of this circle. Really, such a blessing to be in this community with her. And Eva and Tara enjoyed these incredible, moving into this multiple six-figure bracket during their time in the circle. But I also helped Anna sell her first $10,000 program, and Ivy earned $5,000 in just a couple of weeks with a new program. So this is for you if you're more experienced and you want to break through that multiple six-figure ceiling, or if you're just you're a little bit newer and you're wanting clarity for how you can get to that six-figure mark. So I'm going to go ahead and take us out of screen share, but you can go ahead and take just a moment to schedule your one-on-one connection call with me. Let me go ahead and put us in community view, and that link is right there for you in the chat box. So without further ado, while you're scheduling your session with me, we're going to just open it up for Q&A. So I'm here to answer any and all questions. So I want to invite you to go ahead and you can just unmute yourself and just say, hi, I'm Jessica, and ask your question. It looks like there's some questions coming into the chat box as well. Absolutely, Jill, you're more than welcome. Beautiful. Let's see. Okay, great. So I'm available. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Hi, Suzanne. Hi.
Hi. So what I'm curious about is that I've had a lot of ideas and I've been going through this dance. Well, I won't go into all of it, but I am pretty clear on which direction I want to go. So finding my voice kind of thing I'm still in. So I don't know how your program fits with somebody like myself that hasn't really started creating everything yet.
Well, I'll just name that I want the Q&A to be a little bit more about what we talked about during the webinar, but it does tie in with the message. So I will answer your question. I'll save questions for the program for any one-on-one calls, because again, there's no pressure, but I will answer that because it does tie in with the messaging piece. I do give my clients some very powerful journaling exercises so that you get to connect with source, connect with your intuition, and kind of hone your message from that like soul-centered place. And I would say, even if you didn't join the program, to just take some time. I find that my best business ideas often come in the moments where I really give myself space to be in my spiritual practices, to be in what I call my priestess practices. I'm walking in nature, or I'm taking like an intentional kind of energy clearing bath, or I'm dancing to music that just like spiritually lights me up. It's oftentimes like, oh, let me grab my journal and capture this thought. So it's such a beautiful time in spring. We have this weather, we're coming out of the pandemic. Spend some time in the sun, spend some time in nature with an intention of just like opening your channel to like what wants to come through. And then you can always take that and run that by others. There are, again, some powerful exercises I give to women to kind of take all those ideas and like hone them down into actual marketing. But it's a process, and it starts with really coming from that divinely inspired place. Was that helpful for you to just like take the spring to just like connect with source, connect with your intuition? Because that's really the first place to start, because otherwise it's just coming from the head and it's not going to emotionally connect as much. It looks like you had another question, so go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing over these last few months. So I guess like if I scheduled a call with you, would we go a little bit more into depth of like where I'm at?
Yeah, well, I don't give coaching during the call because it really is just to answer your questions about the program. But yeah, I mean, the number one thing when anyone comes in is we work on the messaging. Just like when I was giving the examples, it was like, first we got really clear on the messaging and like, what do you want to attract clients into? And once that happened, then we can kind of use that as the North Star and create, webinar, workshop, retreat, email, social media posts that are all coming from that one aligned kind of message, if you will. So that's I'm a stickler about that, actually. One of the women in the program right now is a professional editor and author. In fact, I tend to attract a lot of women who have written books or want to write books. And she was saying, because she's a professional editor, she's like, she said, until you've done 15 rewrites, it's not ready to be published. And while you may not have to do 15 rewrites with your message, it's so important that it's just that refinement. It sounds like you've done some work to really download what works for you, but or what you're wanting to offer and the way that you want to talk about that, but to take the time to get feedback, to get my feedback, to get the feedback of the other women in circle, till you get that like, oh my gosh, Suzanne, this sounds like an amazing program. Where do I sign up? Like getting that green light. And then that's a good sign, like, great, now this is ready to move out into the world, because it's just like the resonance is there. So that's a huge emphasis in the program, especially even for established women, because a lot of times women will come and they already have an established business, but now they're being called to offer something deeper or something new. It's like the universe is asking them to become like the next thing. And that requires that same going back to square one, like listening to divine guidance, listening to intuitive guidance, and then taking that, giving it more form, getting feedback so it becomes more real, and to see if it resonates, and then creating from there. A lot of women work the other way around, where they're like, I'm going to create this workshop and this webinar and this retreat. But then that misalignment is there because it's not sourced from the messaging of that deeper program or package that you're ultimately wanting to invite them into. So start with that, your messaging, and then you can use that as your North Star, especially those 3 highest intentions and prayers. What are your 3 highest intentions and prayers for people that do that work with you, go into that program with you or that package with you? And that is really great information for creating some, aligned talks, workshops, etc., that can stem for just those 3 highest intentions and prayers. So yeah, great question. Totally awesome. Anyone else want to unmute and ask? Hi, Deborah.
My biggest question is, can you talk some more about emotionally connecting, especially since most of what we're doing is virtual? I don't have any problem emotionally connecting with people in person, but it's for me, it's really kind of difficult to connect when you're on one side of a screen, and then
Absolutely.
yeah, that's just explain a little bit more about what you mean by that, please.
Absolutely. Such a great question. It's interesting because beyond the message, which we just talked about with Suzanne, I think a lot of it is even in when I used to produce live events, and I would have, guest teachers, guest speakers come and give a talk, give a workshop. Oftentimes there was this like a lecture style talk with very little interactivity that just felt emotionally disconnected. So a lot of the emotional connection that I have the burps today. A lot of the emotional connection that you can create with your audience is through interactivity, right? So that because when we're on the screen, we kind of automatically turn a little bit into zombies, and we're getting notifications, and it's so easy to be distracted. So allowing, like, weaving in lots of moments where the audience participates is very helpful. Like today, I was having you stand and let's take a breath and let's unmute. Let's type in the chat box what is resonating, partially because it helps me track, like, is this resonating? Is there confusion? Do I need to clarify? So that's helpful for me to just have that feedback, because how can you read an audience virtually, other than just kind of feeling into energy? But also, in that interactivity, there was another piece I wanted to say. Having your audience feel like they have a little bit of a spotlight, right? It's like taking the time to like read women's names as they're sharing, and like acknowledging, so there were certain comments. I was like, oh, right, that's a really great comment. Like actually having that almost like, is that Socratical, like Socrates, like that, just that more interactive classroom. And I think that's really effective in a live audience too. Like, hey, let's open it up for a group share, or, let's do breakout rooms and take a moment to just like that way that we, I think, as, I don't know, mammals, I don't know, need, or humans, need to kind of verbally process. I think that's a powerful learning tool as well. So doing recaps, having people share in the chat, uh, having people just share in general is a powerful learning tool. That's actually a really powerful way to learn when we can articulate what's meaningful for us. It will help kind of ground that in more, ground in the teachings more, but it just has the audience actually participate. That audience participation is a huge part of having them feel emotionally connected. Through email, you can do that in the form of powerful questions. You can do that through storytelling, through metaphor can be powerful, emotionally evocative. I didn't so much in this class, but telling your own story. Today, I really wanted to focus it on these business models of these women and kind of giving the behind the scenes, but you got to see their faces, right? You got to hear their stories. You got to kind of hear a little bit about their journey. And that's more powerful than if I was like, you should do this, step 1, step 2, like that's powerful, but it's nice to be like, well, how did this woman metabolize that? How did this woman metabolize that? So storytelling, interactivity, in your webinars can be great, and that storytelling really translates beautifully in email marketing, social media as well. So hopefully that gives you a few little tidbits that were helpful. Yeah, awesome. We've got 20 women still on. Awesome. Great. I've turned off the women that don't have the video on, so it's nice to be in this little intimate group with Cindy, Rochelle, another Cindy, oh, 2 Cindys. Brittany. Hi, Brittany. Hey, do you have a question for me? Davina, hi, welcome back. Do you have a question for me? Feel free to unmute if you do. No pressure if you don't. Any other questions? This is like the fewest questions I think I've ever gotten. Oh, there we go. Hi, Davina.
Sure. I've been listening. I just didn't have the video on. I'm just trying to learn how to apply this because, like, I'm doing one-on-one treatment, and I just need to get the first couple dozen people in the door, and I'm not sure where to get started.
Awesome. So, so you have a private practice that's around holistic health and helping women with hormones and fertility. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, acupuncture can treat everything, but my focus, my passion is women's health and fertility.
Wonderful. I so appreciate that niche, especially because it is so needed, it's so desired, and not every acupuncturist specializes in that particular piece. I'll speak to this from a couple different angles. One is the cool thing about being in the world of holistic health is that it's ultimately very easy to collect a powerful community of power partners or client referral partners, partially because psychologically, most people in holistic health, whether they're chiropractors, acupuncturists, holistic health practitioners, or even like medical doctors, there's already a kind of a built-in psychology and history of health practitioners referring clients to other health practitioners. So the first place I would start is to just take this next week, like really spacious, take this next week to make a list just in your journal or on the notes app on your phone or whatever, a list of people that you already know that are in the world of holistic health, right? Maybe they're a chiropractor, maybe they're, whatever, focus more dietary, maybe they're an herbalist, but not Chinese medicine. And just bring that list to your altar. That's the first step. And then I recommend taking the time to actually reach out to those practitioners and just say, hey, I love what you're creating in your business. I've admired you for a long time for XYZ. I would love to maybe hop on the phone and find out how we can refer to each other or support one another. if you were to just have 2 conversations like that every month, just heart connect with another, fellow holistic health person, a year from now, that means you would have had 24 of those conversations. Some of those people are going to be bound to be like, yes, oh my gosh, people come to me for fertility, but it's not my specialty. I specialize in menopause or whatever. And you can be the perfect referral partners for one another. So that's one piece, is like setting an intention to grow a referral network. So great, because I definitely know women who are in the holistic health world who have a 6-figure practice pretty much just from referrals. So it can be very powerful, kind of like Valencia. I was talking about Valencia grew her business quite extraordinarily in 1 year, just from like, I'm just going to take the time to just heart connect with other practitioners and just see where the energy takes you. I'm actually going to give you a resource, Davina. Hold on a second. Let me pop open my notes here. It's going to take just a moment because we're on Zoom, but let me just find this. This is great for any of you. You get a little bonus little resource just for staying on a little bit longer. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to give you my Power Partner guide. It's called Guide to Heart Connection with Power Partners. Attract lifelong business friends excited to promote you. And it's just a little like 5-part guide. First part, make that list. That's really important because that gives you some direction. You might be surprised at how many people you know in that world, from school, from people you've hired in the past, or just, even like doing a Yelp search. And then my 5-step guide, which is really about how do you reach out and make that initial connection? How do you ask for support in promoting or cross-referring? And how do you stay in your heart-centered leadership to see those kind of partnership agreements through, if there are any agreements? So that's a resource for you, Davina. The next part, so that's the make the list, client referral partnership, that's going to get you really far. I think the topic that you named earlier, when I said, hey, if you were to create an aligned webinar, what would that webinar be? You had this super juicy webinar title. I was like, it like came through. I felt the transmission. I was like, okay, that's awesome, because that can be, if you do connect with other holistic health practitioners who maybe aren't the right fit for direct referral. Also, that's kind of it can be kind of like a little bit of a slow game, long game. But if you have a webinar that is around a topic that they know their audience needs, but maybe isn't their specialty, that can be something that's really easy to refer people to. Like they can send an email out to their newsletter list and just say, hey, my friend and colleague Davina is teaching this workshop around XYZ. This is so important because LMNOP. So you can actually get signups for your webinar through the lists of these other practitioners that you've connected with. That can be a great way to fill a webinar if you're just starting out and you don't have an email list of your own. And that will also grow your list, because those registrants, now they're on your email list. Now they at least said that they were interested. They're probably going to be interested moving forward. So after that webinar, you could also say, hey, doors are open, come in and do a consult with me, or let's do a Zoom consult. So it all kind of ties together. I hope that was helpful. Was that helpful for you, Davina? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It gives me a place to start, because I don't have an email list. I don't have, I have like 30 people on Facebook. Most of them are classmates. So it's just kind of like, I just need to get started, basically.
Yeah, totally. And I will also say, Davina, for a practice like yours that is like a specific and known modality, for all my clients, I don't necessarily say, go set up a Yelp account. But for something like acupuncture, it can be powerful to get onto Yelp, just because a lot of times just the general public does like little searches. They're looking for an acupuncture, especially if you can specify that you specialize in fertility, and hormones, fertility. then that kind of sets you apart. So that can be a powerful move specifically for things like chiropractic, acupuncture, those no, body work, because it's a known modality. Whereas coaching, depending on the type of coaching, it can feel a little more nebulous. So that's another just like get out there. I imagine, because I'm connected with a lot of like psychotherapists, and a lot of times they'll get referrals through lists or directories that they're part of. So I don't know in the world of acupuncture if there's a way to get into some kind of like acupuncture directory. I'm not sure, but I think you could even like, take a more an acupuncturist who's further along, maybe invite to take them out to lunch or virtual tea and just kind of be like, hey, I'm just starting out. Could I pick your brain? Because there might be some other tips or tricks in the acupuncture world I don't even know about. But yeah, I think growing your referral network and getting out there with a teaching that's relevant, which you've already like visioned, I think would be really powerful. So,
Okay.
yay. Awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
great. And you're also getting some really cool resources. Look, when we come together, what we can create, you're getting some really cool resources in the chat. Alignable next.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. I'll look into those.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Any last questions around the 4 feminine paths or anything else we spoke to today? I know we went over, but I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Jessica.
Hey, hi.
Hi. I had a question in the chat, and it was just basically if you've been holding like smaller spaces, short-term spaces, kind of one and done, and you're trying to move into long-term work, longer containers.
Yes.
How do you leverage the energy and, like there's a lot of positive feedback from the shorter term spaces, and then like how do you leverage that energy? Like what's best way to use that?
Can you tell me, just give me a little nugget of like, when you say longer term spaces, what does that mean for you? Like, let me in a little bit on your vision, even if it's not fully formed.
Like 90 days or more, or a 6-month container, and it's still group work. But going towards something that's months and not just like an event. So.
Absolutely, I see. And so is it more from your perspective of how you have the energy to hold space for that amount of time, or is it more for how you keep them engaged, or both? Tell me a little bit.
I think just like keeping them engaged, but also just kind of using that, like, I guess using the experience from the short term to kind of show like, okay, like you gain this much, like you live lifetimes in 90 minutes. So like, and so just kind of transition into that longer term work, but still wanting to know like the energy is really the same. And I'm not like recreating a wheel here, but we're just going a little deeper. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think on one hand, offering something that's deeper is a selling point in and of itself. So I think there's a place to just trust that, like, hey, we just had this delicious experience together. What can we create next? And I actually love what you're saying, because having a short-term container and then saying, hey, I want you to take a step down the spiral staircase with me a little bit deeper. It feels like a beautiful natural progression. So I just want to say I like where you're going with this. In terms of like making that invitation, I think having the small group, the short-term group, reflect on what they've learned. I think that's really helpful, because to be like, oh yeah, actually we did cover all of these juicy things, to have them kind of reconnect to their journey, that they're, even if it's a real short-term thing, that they're in a little bit of a different place now than they were when you first started. I think that helps to kind of like today, like I did a recap, like, hey, here's what we covered so far. And I just kind of simplified it to like 6 main elements. just for people to recognize, like, yeah, actually we did talk about we went down all these rabbit holes. That can be really helpful. Sometimes people will position, I don't do this so much, but if in your longer 90-day offering, let's say you're offering like a formula, like maybe there's a series of modules or a sequence, you can use the short-term thing to just learn the first step of each of those sequences. Like it's like here's a slice, here's the whole pie. Or, hey, today we just learned the first 2 steps, but in my program, we're actually gonna go through all 8 steps or something like that. So that can be another piece to just be like, look how much we did today, and there's more. And I think also there's a piece around highlighting, if it's possible, like if you have maybe like, when you say short term, can you give me a sense of like, when you say like shorter spaces, what does
I
that
say,
mean?
well, like I run Naked Edition, and that's really just a 90-minute workshop. It's and
Okay.
so
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, I think if you want to use that 90-minute workshop as a gateway to something deeper, yeah, having them kind of recap what they've learned. Have you done outside of these 90-minute exercises experiences through either one-on-one work or previous work, have you ever done deeper work with people, like even if it's in a slightly different capacity?
oh yeah, I've been probably doing it since I was 16 years old.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. So I would also, anytime you're teaching something in the 90-minute experience, or presencing a tool, or having them, hey, in a moment we're going to do a powerful exercise. Anytime you're teaching something, see if you can, at least a few times throughout that 90-minute experience, back it up with an inspirational story of somebody you've worked with. So if you're like, hey, today I want to talk about why painting elephants pink, how it can change your life. And in a moment, we're going to do a little meditation around painting elephants pink. Then you can say, before we do that, let me just inspire you with what's possible when you do learn how to paint elephants pink. And you can tell a client success story around that. And you can, I went really briefly into my stories today, but you can go really, really deep. But there's something about storytelling that helps people see what is possible for themselves. It might be your own story of, hey, I'm going to give you this tool. This tool really helped me, and here's how. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to give you this tool. Here's how this tool helped Jessica, and here's how. I have found weaving in stories has really helped. Because of that, it opens people kind of past their self-imposed boxes of what they think is possible and see what's possible for someone else. It really helps to make my program essentially feel like a natural next step. So you're like, wow, I want that. That's awesome. So you can do that in a really heartfelt way. I told lots of stories today. You could probably just weave in a few, but yeah, having them remember what they learned, doing a little recap, doing a little bit of maybe even an exercise around that, or journaling like we did today, and telling stories are 2 super powerful ways to make that feel like, ooh, okay, great. I think I do want to work more deeply with Brittany. I don't know if they answered your question, but feel free to ask more. Was that helpful?
Yes, you did answer it.
Okay,
It was
good.
really helpful.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I'm happy to answer one final question. And if you need to take off, feel free to take off. Looks like most everyone has. Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe we're complete. Well, just so much love to all of you remaining. If any part of you feels like a yes to finding out more about my program, feel free to book that session with me. I'll go ahead and just put the link in the chat one more time, little copy paste. But so much love to all of you. Mwah. Yay. Such an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much, Cindy, Grace, Barbara, Brittany, Davina, Rochelle, Cecilia, Laura, beautiful. Karen, great. All right, beautiful. See you, see you.